Let's talk about quadratic functions. And a quadratic function is in the form of f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So the main thing you're looking for is at the highest degree is 2. The standard form of a quadratic function is f of x is a times x minus h squared plus k. And that gives us a parabola when we graph it. H and k are the coordinates of the vertex of the parabola. And we'll talk about what a does in a little bit. But first, let's figure out how to write a quadratic function looks like this into standard form. So the first thing we're going to do is factor out the coefficient in front of the x squared from the first two terms. And I'm going to leave a space in the parentheses, and then I'm going to put the plus 19 out here. Okay, now I'm going to complete the square inside the parentheses. So I'm going to take half of 6, which is 3, square it, which is 9. Now I've added a 9 times 2 to this side, which is 18. So to keep this side balanced, I'm going to subtract 18. So this will simplify to 2 times x minus 3 squared plus 1. Left off that parentheses there, didn't I? Okay, so h is positive 3 because if you look up here, it's always h minus k. I'm sorry, it's always x minus h plus k. So k is 1. All right? Now, if all you want to do is find the vertex of the parabola, there's a quick way to do it. H is always negative b over 2a. So let's find the vertex of this parabola. Okay, so negative b will be positive 8. H is going to be negative b over 2a. So that's 2 times 2. So I get 8 over 4, which is 2. And to get k, I'm going to plug h into the function. So it's going to be 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 3. That's going to be 2 times 4 minus 16 plus 3, which is negative 8 plus 3, which is negative 5. So our vertex is at 2, negative 5. Now for a parabola that opens either up or down, the axis of symmetry is the vertical line that passes through the vertex. So let's say I've got a parabola that's going like that. Then there's my vertex, and the axis of symmetry is this line that cuts it exactly in half. And the same thing happens if it's opening down. Okay? My axis of symmetry is going right through the middle of it, right through the vertex. Okay? That means that its equation is going to be x equals the x coordinate of the vertex. X equals h. So if you know what h is, you can get the axis of symmetry. Now this is the same function we just did in the previous example, so we know that h is 2. So the axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 2. Now let's talk about what a does. It helps us figure out if we have a maximum or a minimum value of the parabola. So if a is positive, then the parabola opens up, and your y-coordinate of your vertex will be your minimum value. Okay? If a is less than 0, if it's negative, the parabola opens down, and your y-coordinate of your vertex is your maximum value. So let's find the maximum or minimum value of this function. To do that, we're going to have to get the vertex. So let's do our little trick. H is negative b over 2a, which is negative 8 over 2 times negative 2, which is negative 8 over negative 4, which is 2. And k will equal f of h, which is f of 2. That's going to be negative 2 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2 minus 1. So that's negative 2 times 4 plus 16 minus 1. So that's 8 minus 1, which is 7. Okay, so that's either our maximum or minimum value. Which is it? Well, look at a. A is negative, which means this parabola is doing this. So this point right here is at 2, 7. So 7 is the maximum value of that function. Now, quadratic functions have lots of applications, and this is a typical one, projectile motion. So let's say that we have a baseball that's thrown vertically upward with an initial velocity of 48 feet per second. And let's say that the ball started its flight at a height of 8 feet, so its initial position is 8. So its height s at time t can be given by this quadratic function, okay? So there's your initial height, there's your initial velocity, and this is the acceleration due to gravity, okay? Now, determine the time it takes the ball to reach a maximum height. That means that we want to know where the vertex is, and we want to know the x-coordinate of the vertex. We're looking for t, okay? So our little trick is h is negative b over 2a, which is negative 48 over negative 32. And let's get our calculator up. So I'm going to do 48 divided by 32. So it takes us 1.5 seconds for that ball to reach the height, maximum height. 1.5 seconds. Well, what is the maximum height? The maximum height is the y-coordinate, s. So that's going to be k of the vertex. So I'm going to go s of 1.5. So this is a, that's b. Okay, so we have negative 16 times 1.5 squared plus 48 times 1.5 plus 8. Get our calculator going again. And I'm going to go negative 16 times 1.5 squared plus 48 times 1.5 plus 8. 44. So this reaches a maximum height of 44 feet. Part C. Determine the time it takes the ball to hit the ground. When it hits the ground, its height is going to be 0. So I'm going to set this equation equal to 0 and solve for t. So I've got negative 16t squared plus 48t. Get my eraser there. Get my pen back. Plus 48t plus 8. And I'm going to divide everything by negative 2 to make life easier. So it's going to be 8t squared plus 24. Actually, I'm going to divide everything by negative 8. Wouldn't that be best? I like that better. Okay, so I'm going to divide negative 16 by negative 8. I'm going to get 2t squared. And then this is going to be a minus 6t minus 1. Okay, I don't think we can factor that, so let's do the quadratic formula. T is going to equal negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's going to give us 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 plus 8 over 4, which is 6 plus or minus the square root of 44 all over 4. And I can take a 4 out of that square root. So that's going to leave me with a 2 outside and an 11 inside. And finally, I can factor a 2 out of everything. And cancel. So my final answer is 3 plus or minus root 11 over 2. Well, it doesn't make sense for us to have negative time, so we're only going to worry about the positive value. Okay. And we'll get our calculator up. And I'm going to go 3 plus the square root. Whoop. Come back. Delete. 3 plus, there we go, square root of 11. And we're going to divide that by 2. And we get 3.158 seconds. So we'll say 3.16 seconds it takes to hit the ground.